Hey, Khushi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me all
I
right?
hear you well
Yeah.
as well. It's so weird to be doing this end of year. We started this a year ago.
I know, right? I was sitting and thinking about it because we were wrapping up the newsletter and I was like, oh my God, we started office hours literally at the start of this. Oh, time
I know.
flies.
It
It's
does. It does.
such a December conversation for us to be having, but time really does fly.
It really does. Hi everyone. We actually have quite a high number of registrations for this office hours, which is great. We're incredibly happy that this keeps happening for the office hours that we hold. So we're gonna give it a couple of minutes for everyone to join, or at least for everyone who's joining right now. Let's just give it a couple of minutes. So we're not gonna start until maybe I think about 2:02, maybe 2:03. And then we're going to start off with the presentation, of course, introduce you to both the webinar, especially if you're new, if you've been here before. I know there's a lot of people that have already been to these office hours, so you probably already know the deal. But we'll
If you are
be
already here, then
exactly.
I'm sure hopefully you're not sick of seeing us just yet.
Yeah, hopefully not. We need to continue this next year. So I sincerely hope that's not the case. Because are you getting ready for the holidays?
I am. I am. I'm so excited to get out of the winter here and just go to the beach, soak in the sun. Um, yeah,
That's right, because she's going to be going to Dubai.
back home finally. But yeah, if you are taking a trip as well, like let us know in the comments. Feel free to share where you're going, or like maybe just react with a couple of emojis because I always love hearing about people's plans at the end of the year. Usually, I think this is like either whether you're snuggling up with your family or taking a trip. It's always fun to see what people are up to.
Honestly, I love the snow, so I'm maybe not a good person for this.
Because
I
you
will
don't live
say
in Canada, Kat. Once you see enough of snow, you're just like,
I
yeah.
grew up in I grew up in Vancouver, though although I can't say that.
Vancouver
Anyone
is
in
like
Canada
the
would, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
it's
was
the
about
good
to
weather.
say
You got off on the easy end.
that's true. That's true. I was about to say everyone now that's from Canada would go, no, you don't
Yeah,
count.
yeah. When
That's
you have a 30 centimeter wide snowstorm, it's just like a lot to deal with.
it's true.
I'm
It's
ready,
true.
and it's just the start of the winter, so I have quite a shocking surprise coming for me in Jan and Feb. It's gonna be rough.
You know what? It's gonna be like that in Serbia though too. It's gonna be like that in Europe as well. And it's funny enough, but that's what I'm saying. I like snow, so I mean I missed it growing up in Vancouver. Every time,
Really?
yeah,
Like,
you'd
what
have
do you
like
mean it's gonna like in Belgrade? Like, is it
uh,
gonna be like snowing all the time, or like what's the
you know
change?
what? It can get bad, but for sure, like on the
Mhm.
mountains and like in the
Oh
national
yeah.
parks and stuff, that's gonna be quite intense. All right, okay. I think I think we
Enough
can
of
now
this
get into.
chat.
Thank you guys for listening to this conversation. I think we can now get into the call. We're still missing some people. Some people actually will not be showing up to this call. They're going to be watching the recording. We really appreciate that because they're actually outside of these time zones and they can't make it to these calls. We are thinking about introducing more of the office hour slots for the other time zones as well and trying to fit in. It seems that we actually have quite a bit of people who want to join, so we may actually introduce two office hour sessions next year per month. But we'll see how it goes, of course. So again, anyone who's watching the recording, hello, and thank you for watching. And anyone who's joined, thank you so much for taking the time to join the call. My name is Kat. I'm here at Support and Operations. This is Khushi from our marketing team.
Yep.
And we're going to be taking you through this call. We're using the Zoho webinar system. You have a Q&A section and a poll section that you can see on the top left hand side. The Q&A section is mostly something that we go through after I'm done with the first piece of this office hours, where we talk about the topics that we mentioned we're going to be discussing.
Mhm.
And we're going to, of course, go through every single, question that you guys have. We're going to try to answer the best that we can. If we need to follow up, we will. And of course, the polls as well that we have about 4 questions. They're very, very quick to answer. They just help us kind of either guide the future office hours in a specific direction or understand if we covered everything that you needed in this office hours episode that we have today. So this topic for today, we change these topics every month or so. The topic for today is ending the year with vacation tracker. There's companies here that are probably ending the year now in December, but there's also companies that are ending the year next year. sometime maybe in July or September, different accounting years, which is perfectly okay. The rules are still basically the same when you have an accounting year reset, considering the fact that the changes that you may be making will still apply all across the board. So we're going to be talking about a few of those settings that you may be wanting to look at the end of the year now, and we're also going to talk about the released features that we just recently released, or that we just released in the last week, thanks to our wonderful development team and our wonderful new product manager Anna, who's been really on point, surprising us with all these features. So that's going to be we're going to be discussing that, and also upcoming features. So definitely stay tuned. That's going to be a little bit at the end. I'm going to quickly go over there. I'm not going to go into details. We're of course going to leave that maybe for other topics. But if you have any questions, of course, you can always ask support via chat or via email. So first things first, I'm going to share the screen as I usually do. I'm going to be showing you guys one of our demo accounts. I'm specifically using the demo account for the Slack environment. Although the topics we're talking about today, it doesn't matter which integration you're using. We're covering the dashboard. And so therefore, it shouldn't really affect the integration. If it does, I'll let you know. And we're going to get started there as well. So I'm going to start sharing the screen, and you guys will let me know with a like and an emoji if you're able to see it. Are we good to go, Khushi, on your end? I see likes.
I can see everything.
Wonderful.
I see the like. Yeah,
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
amazing.
Okay, so we're good to go. So first things first, I think the most important piece that I want to start off with is the brought forward setting. The reason why is because this seems to be kind of a popular topic at the end of the year for a lot of admins, kind of making sure that they set up the setting correctly, or even just maybe changing up the setting for the following year. We saw a lot of this happen coincidentally after COVID. So a lot of companies that didn't allow brought forward started allowing it, and then we're allowing it for a couple of years, then we're turning it off or changing their policies, or even they weren't allowing it and then turning on the option because they've changed internal policies. So we feel like this is probably one of those features that are quite important at the end of the year, because it will be affecting the following year and of course the employees. So and there's the reason why I'm also talking about this is because of this feature and everything that we noticed at the end of the year with companies changing the setting. We actually introduced a new option for the setting, which some of you may have caught, maybe you haven't noticed it. So if we go into the settings on the left hand side, into any location, into any leave type, you guys probably already know how to get there. And if we go on to edit the settings for that leave policy, if we scroll down, we're going to get to the brought forward settings. So you used to just have the option to choose if you're going to allow a limited a number of days to roll over, or all of the days, and of course if they expire. Probably familiar with these settings already. And when you would change the settings, this is how it used to work about about a month ago, I believe. I think released a couple of weeks ago. When you change the settings, you would only be affecting the future. So if you were editing the setting, let's say that you didn't allow brought forward, and then you decided to edit the setting in November of the year, your resets in January, you would not affect that past year that happened already. So you wouldn't have affected the brought forward from 2022 to 2023. If you turned it on, you would just be affecting 2023 going to 2024. And so you're basically turning it on, if you are, always for the future. Because we saw such a huge amount of activity around this feature in general over the last few years in Vacation Tracker, at the end of the year, we decided to add another feature that basically allows you to choose, and I apologize, our chat here is in the way, that basically allows you to choose if you're applying this just for future brought forward. So are you just deciding to turn on this for all the upcoming years, including the 2023 to 2024 and so on, or are you also looking to affect the past brought forward, so the previous 1 year? And I want to clarify, we're only affecting one previous year. We will not be affecting anything prior to that. So that means that if you maybe forgot to turn on your setting, or you're noticing now that you need to edit them for 2022 to 2023 and you didn't do that, you are now able to do that by affecting the system and clicking, okay, I want to affect both the previous year and all the upcoming ones, or I want to just affect the upcoming ones. So that's actually the big change change we introduced. We're hoping that this is going to significantly help. Like I said, this has been something that we've been manually doing for a lot of companies, always end of year, depending on the end of year, of course. Sometimes it's December, sometimes it's July, September. And we've just noticed that pattern happening quite a bit. So you are not able to make these changes yourselves. Now, this is quite new. When I say quite new, it's a couple of weeks old. There's companies that have already been using it and that we've already been advising through support to apply these settings. They've been quite happy. I believe that there was a slight bug that we had. We fixed that very quickly right when it was released. And so definitely try it out. If you have any feedback regarding the feature, definitely let us know. You can let us know even now during the Q&A section, or you can let us know via email or via chat and give us some feedback, whether you're using it, whether you want to use it, whether you feel like there should be something else that needs to be added because of the changes that you make inside the company. This is the most common scenarios we saw and we covered with this setting, and we believe that that should work. So this is definitely something that you should check now at the end of the year to make sure that your settings are matching what you guys need for the future, whether it's the fact that you want it to affect the previous year or whether that's the fact that you want to turn on brought forward for the upcoming year. So again, and I do want to mention, I usually say this at the beginning. I realize I didn't. Brought forward is also rollover. It's also called unused days, and so many names for some of these features, for some of these features all around the world. So that's what we're talking about here: unused days being transferred from one year into the next. And so that's the new setting. That's one thing to definitely keep in mind. The second piece to keep in mind generally in vacation tracker are your general settings that may be affecting the year, including things such as the accruals. If you're going to be making any changes to policies upcoming into 2024, we're seeing a lot of this as well, where companies are waiting for the reset of the year to make changes. Please keep in mind any types of changes, for example, for accrual types. If you may be changing or something else in the context of quota, if you're looking to change it for 2024, please make sure to do that change once 2024 starts. So anything past January 1st is when you should change those settings. The brought forward settings can be, of course, edited now, depending on your needs. But when it comes down to the accrual settings or any of those types of settings that you want to affect, that you want in effect for 2024, please make sure you're actually doing that in 2024. So we have a few companies, for example, that are changing from the accrual monthly type to semi-monthly. And we've already advised them to reach out to us so we can enable this for them. But they're going to be editing this feature in January when the year starts so that it affects that year and it does not affect the previous years. This is something that is usually quite important to keep in mind in vacation trackers. So some of these features will only affect that current year. And if you're trying to affect that current year because you didn't change the past because your policy has changed, you want to make sure that you're making those changes at the right time. Again, we're talking about this very quickly right now through these office hours because we want to mention some of these topics. If you need to talk more about it, again, support, chat, and email, of course, and we can get into more details. And of course, we have the Q&A section for some shorter questions that we can get through. We have quite a bit of people on the call. We may have a lot of the Q&A. Sometimes it's quite a bit. Sometimes it's a little bit less. So hopefully, we're going to try our best to go through everything in the Q&A section. That being said, besides the accruals, other things that you could be possibly, of course, changing is the quotas. Same thing if you're looking to change the quota for the company, for the whole company, and you're looking to affect the quota or any type of policies, and you're looking to make that changes for 2024, make sure to do it in 2024 once it starts. If you're looking to affect 2023 and 2024, you can, of course, make that change now. It will affect the current year and, of course, the upcoming years as well. And those are just some of the basic settings that I think we can cover that you may be looking at the end of the year, something that you wouldn't really be doing usually throughout the year. These are rare changes that happen, but again, we see this at the end of the year. The next piece that I want to really quickly mention, since we're already in the location section, is the holidays. So some of you, if you guys have been with us for quite some time, you may have noticed that in the last year, we actually changed, first of all, the source of the holidays, where we pull the holidays from. We found a more accurate a more accurate database at this point, and also we were able to turn on the auto import for the holidays as well. That being said, you are now able to import the holidays as you as you were even before, and import that list, but you're also able to turn on the auto import for the following years and to have those days show up in the next year. Please keep in mind for one thing, for adding a holiday manually yourself, we will not be auto importing it into the next year. Sometimes it happens that a company may not want that holiday happening in the following year. They may just have created a holiday for this year, specific for the company, specific for their needs for that year, but they may not actually be matching that up for the following year. So we didn't create an auto import connection for that. We may create that as an improvement in the future if we notice a need for it. But for now, of course, the imported holidays, they will be auto imported for the following year. And of course, that's something to definitely also check now at the end of the year to make sure that your 2023 holidays are on, 2024, that the auto import is on if you'd like. If you don't, that's perfectly okay. You can then go into 2024 and manually import those holidays. That's okay, but just make sure that that's also active so that when your users are requesting for leave for 2024, it's giving you a correct calculation, matching up with the days that they're actually going to have off. And this has to be done for every location. If you have multiple locations, keep that in mind as well. These settings are going to be going per location. So that piece covers over the holidays. We have a couple of more things I want to go over in the dashboard before we get into the released features and the upcoming features. I know everyone's probably the most excited about that piece.
Waiting for their Christmas gifts.
Yep.
I would be too.
So a couple of the things to keep in mind as well that you may be actually doing at the end of the year, this is mostly again for the admins, is the actual reporting. Keep in mind, we're noticing, of course, a lot of usage of the exports at the end of the year. Everyone's pulling out the leave balance reports. Mostly the leave balance report is really what's being looked at. How many days are used? How many days are remaining? This is really what interests everyone. You're of course able to do that at this time as well. We're going to be introducing some improvements to our reporting. We're hoping in 2024, but we're yet to discuss more about that. I know that's something that a lot of companies have been requesting over time. We definitely have that on our roadmap. As for right now, the few improvements that we introduced for the export this year, that's a little bit different, is the exporting format and, of course, the exporting periods. So we were able to introduce a little bit more customization there for some of these reports. Again, like I said, I think the leave balance report is probably the most popular one because that's going to be giving the remaining amount, which is really what the admins are probably interested in when they're looking at payroll and looking to match those days correctly to the end of the year. Of course, you're able to filter here by locations, departments, and labels. You can do a mix, a match of the two. So that's something that's also possible if you're looking to pull out a more specific report. And also another piece just for the admins that also may be useful. This is something we also introduced, and you may already be aware of this, but just in case, the employee ID may really be useful in this case. What we've noticed a lot is for companies that are using a separate payroll system, of course, and they have an ID there. They like to match it with the user as well in Vacation Tracker so that when you're pulling the report, you can actually organize it by the employee ID because the employee ID is showing in the report as well. So this can also be really useful for now when you guys are pulling these reports and matching it up, and of course then importing the data into your payroll systems or other systems wherever you may be adding this data to. So that's the piece for the reports. Of course, the scheduled reports for the complete plan, you're able to schedule those reports to send out. If you do need to pull out any reports now, you have until, of course, December 31st to pull out all the reports for the current year, or in January, you'll be able to pull the leave balance reports for the previous year to give you the breakdown that you may need. Okay, going through the reports, we went through the holidays and then the final couple of pieces. The first things first, the New Year changes. I want to mention this, although some of you, again, like I said, may already know this, what you can expect for the New Year reset. Maybe there's some new companies, so I want to make sure to cover this as well. If you have, whether you have the accrual turned on, and you're using the accrual system, or whether you're giving your quota upfront, when the new year happens, our system will automatically be resetting the quota for the employees, and we'll be giving them a new set of quota or starting the new accrual period once the year resets. If there's any users that have customized quota, then the system will be, of course, starting off with their customized quota and giving them those days for the following year. Okay. If your system in the case that you're looking at employee start date, for example, that reset, of course, is going to be happening at the actual employee start date if that's the setting of you guys' vacation tracker account. Otherwise, if you're looking at accounting year, this is what you're going to be seeing in the upcoming on January 1st and 2nd. And the second piece, besides, of course, the new reset of quota that's going to be happening, is the brought forward. So sometimes we have a question from newer companies asking us what's happening with the brought forward for the next year because they're seeing 0 days. This is normal. Our brought forward does not show in the upcoming year until the new year's actually starts. The reason why is because the employee still has the right to use those days all the way up until the last day. And so therefore the actual event that happens, the transfers, the unused days happens when the new year starts. So that is when the employees will also see their brought forward amount and of course will be able to use it. Until then, they will not be able to use it. Once that January 1st happens, or whenever your accounting year resets, once that first day happens, the brought forward will be updated. They'll see their brought forward unused amount of days, and they'll be able to use those days. When they're applying for those days, they will be able to apply for they're going to be using those days first. Anyways, that's how our system works when it comes down to the brought forward. We first use the unused days and then the quota, unless of course the days expired. It's a different story, but we're talking about the basic case of unused days being transferred. So that's the coverage for the quotas and the brought forward, the resets, what you can expect for the new year change. And then the last, of course, piece is the well, I believe we can actually move on over now to the released features
Yes.
and the upcoming features. Yeah. All right. So when it comes down to the released features, this maybe doesn't have so much to do with the end of year, but it's like Khushi said, it's a gift from from us to you guys. We have quite a bit of new things coming up. First of all, we already released quite a bit of features. We're going to be releasing even more in the next couple of months. Like I said, I'm not going to go into the details too much. I'm going to very quickly explain what each feature does. Please, 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 if anyone is interested in testing out some of these features that, for example, are either in beta testing and you don't have access to, let us know via chat or via email. Send us a message after this office hours. If there's any upcoming features that you would like to be a part of, whether that's beta testing or just even giving feedback or information, please also let us know via email or via chat. We'll connect you to the product manager and you can actually provide that information and definitely help us make the feature more customizable and more according to everyone's needs. All of the features that we make, we try our best to make as customizable as possible. You guys know we work with companies all over the world, and so we want to make sure we're kind of matching up all different standards, leave laws, and different industries. So first things first, something that's actually been incredibly popular, I think ever since Vacation Tracker started, is the 24-hour, 12-hour format, which actually brings me to another point. We've changed slightly the account settings section for each user. On the right-hand side at the top of your dashboard, when you go and click on your name, whether you're a regular user or you're an admin, you're seeing the same thing here. You're able to go to your profile or account settings. If you go to account settings, we've now kind of changed this up a little bit. First of all, we've of course introduced the connection to the personal calendar. A lot of you probably already know about that, the ability to connect your vacation tracker directly to your personal calendar and then having that booked leave right in your calendar, marking you as busy. The configuration for the out of office message as well is here under the account settings. And then under the preferences, we've moved the dark mode versus light mode settings. That's where they are. We've also moved the language, preferred language. We're currently offering English and French. Please keep in mind we're going to be offering Spanish, we hope soon as well. And then we're going to be moving on to other languages as well in the future. And of course, the incredibly highly anticipated feature of 12-hour, 24-hour. I laugh because as kind of small of a feature this is, it's been significantly highly requested, and also that was also the case with dark mode versus light mode. It was funny when we went from Vacation Tracker 1.0 to Vacation Tracker 2.0 a couple of years back, we accidentally deactivated this feature and we got so many messages. Nothing about the new vacation tracker, nothing. Not everyone was ecstatic, but the only thing everyone noticed was the fact that they can't make it into dark mode. We
I
had to
remember
quickly
that.
Yep.
Crazy times. The
Yeah.
little things. It's all little things always.
Exactly. So we had to quickly bring that back. That being said, this is also one of those things that's a small feature, but it took us time to introduce it. But it is here and it's quite popular. You are now able to change your time display format to either 12-hour format or 24-hour format. It's going to be per user, so every user gets to edit the setting for themselves, and to put in the preferred time format. The reason why we did this is because we have a lot of companies that have different locations. Different locations look at these time formats differently, and so this way every user can actually change this setting for themselves. So that's the first piece that I think is the most kind of the most important. I mean, a lot of these other features are really awesome and great, but this is such a
Most
highly requested
popular,
feature.
highly requested one.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So the next piece, of course, is the automations. That's something that maybe some of you already on this call have seen. If you're in beta testing, you would have noticed this as well. We have introduced automations to Vacation Tracker, and these are add-ons. These are going to be add-ons to both plans, both core and complete. And they offer different options. Like I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm going to quickly just kind of glance over them. The blackout period means that you're able to block out a certain time frame, for so that users are not able to request leave during that time. You can even choose the leave type that you're going to be affecting. Sometimes, for example, you may decide that they can't request any of these leave types except, for example, sick leave. They may be able to request for that during the blackout period. So this is a feature that's, again, very, very highly requested, and we introduced. It is currently, like I said, all of these are currently in beta testing, but will be going live quite soon in the next couple of weeks, and you are able to test it at this time. So if you are interested, let us know. Seniority entitlement and entitlement by role. These are two similar features, but separate from each other. Seniority based entitlement means that depending on the number of years worked in the company, I earn an additional number of days and quota on top of the quota that I already have. So you can customize this quite a bit. We have companies, for example, that have a rule that says, every 5 years I get another 5 days. We have a company that says for every year worked you get 1 day. So this is quite useful to have as an automation. Entitlement by role also adding additional days, but this is now different because it's actually according to the label that the user has. So a lot of the times our labels can be used to mark a user with a tag that says maybe manager or C-level or executive. And then depending on their role, they get additional number of days or quota on top of what they already have, or they would have already had. So, for example, maybe executives have 30 days and regular employees have 15 days. This is something that you can also automate to make it easier for you when the employee is changing a role inside the company. And then the next three features are coming up in the future, such as early employment leave restriction, which means that you're basically saying the new employee cannot take leave for the first 6 months, but they can accrue but they are not able to apply for that leave at least in the first 6 months to 3 months based on probation, for example, in most cases. So you're still allowing accrual, but you are not letting them take leave, or you've given the quota up front, but they can't apply for that quota until their probation is over. That's something that we're going to be working on much sooner. The last two are going to be worked on a little bit later, including team leave balancing, which is basically you're putting in how much of the team can be away at once. Maybe you're saying 30% of the team can only be away at once, or putting those types of limitations. And then the leave duration limit, you're basically saying what's the minimum they can request or a maximum that a user can request at once. For example, maybe you're putting a limitation saying you can only request 10 working days at once. When you're applying for your leave, that's the maximum. Some companies have that rule, so we're also going to be introducing that as an option as well. So these are the automations. Like I said, the first three are already available for beta testing. If you are interested, let us know via chat or email. If you've already tried them out, you want to give some feedback, definitely also let us know. It's going to be really useful for us while developing the improvements as well. Another piece that I think is important, that we've introduced recently, is the accrual improvements. When it comes down to The accrual section, this is something we've already talked about in another office hours that you can definitely see on our office hours page for the old recordings. So we allowed the requesting of accrual leave in advance, which means that I can request, my leave in January for September, because in September I'm already going to have about 7-8 days. So I can request my leave already in January if this option is enabled. Do you want to pause accruals when a user is deactivated or not? This is quite an important feature for companies that maybe have someone going to maternity leave or other type of leave. And then in that case, you are choosing if you're going to be pausing the accruals for deactivated users or not. And in accrual cap, this is a more complex feature. It is very, very specific. Only companies that are really going by this rule or have to go by this rule and understand the feature and understand how it's going to work. It is putting an accrual cap that is a kind of a legal necessity in a couple of states and a couple of countries. It's very limited, but because it was a kind of a legal necessity for a lot of our teams and it was a lot of work for them to manually do it over the last couple of years, we decided to introduce it as a feature. So this is again very, very specific. If a company actually uses this, they absolutely know what it is, and they'll apply it. It's not something that's very common, honestly, when it comes down to the future itself. And of course, we talked about the brought forward for the past and the future. That's something we just released as well. So we talked about that as the existing features. Now, for the upcoming features, the first one that we kind of want to focus on is the substitute approvers, which is basically allowing the allowing a setting that says this is going to be an approver that's going to replace me if I'm not, if that's going to replace this other approver if they're not around when the request gets sent out. So this has been a quite highly requested feature. That's actually something we are currently working on, and our PM is actually um, already collecting feedback and information about this feature. So if you are interested in this feature, again, definitely let us know via chat and via email so we can connect you to our product manager, and maybe you can either provide information on how the company uses it in your case, or you can give us some other additional feedback, or if you're interested in beta testing, you can be a part of that as well. So definitely let us know for that specific feature. As for the other features that we're going to be introducing, time off in lieu, we've talked about this, so you can expect that in 2024. Again, significantly highly requested. And something that's actually going to be arriving much sooner is the imports. This is more for the newer companies. We're going to be introducing an import of leave data. You're going to be able to actually import the leave data yourself without going through our support and us creating a ticket. You'll be able to upload the file of all of the leave information, the leave requests, and upload that information into Vacation Tracker. This actually will be also quite useful for some of the companies that have reached out to us that have reoccurring leaves. There's a few companies that, for example, have every second Friday off, which of course changes every year for the dates. And so they used to use our import through support to import those dates for every single one of those employees. So this is something, for example, that's going to be quite useful because we'll be able to use that as a workaround to import that data as well. But for anyone that's existing, that's already been with Vacation Tracker for some time, it may not be something that is going to be useful for you guys. Again, mostly for new companies. So I believe that that's basically it. I think we've gone through all of the
You covered
many
everything. Yeah.
many features, many features. I'm hoping I covered all of the pieces. One thing I do want to mention is it is end of year. I think this is something you may already know, but within Vacation Tracker, you do have discounted pricing if you're going for the annual plan. So if you'd like to cut down the number of invoices and you'd like to switch over to the annual plan, you can definitely very easily do that on our billing page. If you go onto the billing page on the left-hand side, you can just click on the button to switch over to annual, and just make sure that you're on the plan that you want, and we'll get you started with the annual plan with one invoice, making things easier, and with a discounted price for an annual plan. So that's basically it for this. I do want to mention one thing. We're going to move over to Q&A section. I don't know how many questions we have. I know some questions get started once we actually get into the Q&A section. In the meantime, are we going to start the polls? Can we
Yes, so I'm
open
going to
up?
activate
Thank
the
you,
4
Khushi.
polls that we have right next to the Q&A section.
Okay.
And if you guys can just take out a second to fill those in, we would really appreciate that. It's super easy, super intuitive. So before you type in your questions for Q&A, just make sure to vote on our polls because that would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, it really does help us out. It lets us know if this was a useful call. It also lets us know what other topics we can talk about. And makes it, of course, a better experience for you guys as well. As for very short questions, you can just click the buttons and get it over with. But it
Yeah,
helps us quite a bit. So feel free to go into the poll section now and
we can do a couple of
answer
things for
those.
that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. So in the meantime, we can get into the Q&A section. Of course, you guys will also have at the end of the call a couple of minutes to also answer those polls. So if you want to do that after the Q&A section, that's also okay. We're going to leave a couple of minutes for that as well. In the Q&A section, Khushi, do you want to start
Yes,
us
I
off?
can start us off. First question was from Alvin, which I already took
Alvin.
the liberty of answering earlier. But for anyone who thinks they want to stop and leave the webinar for a couple of minutes and come back and watch a recording, you absolutely can. We'll send you a link after the webinar is over. So just wanted to put that out there. So the first question we have is from Jennifer, and she says, are we able to change for a specific person and not for an entire location? I think it's kind of taken out of context because I see she's asked this at 211. I'm not sure what feature you were covering at 211, but
I believe that at that point we were talking about, just give me a moment, let me
brought
take a
forward
look.
or
I feel
maybe
like
yeah.
we were talking about the broad forward still at that point.
Yeah, Jennifer confirmed it's brought forward.
Thank you. Thanks, Jen. Yeah, so you aren't able to change for a specific person at this time. At this time, the broad forward setting is still affecting per leave type, per policy, per location. And it's not something that you can edit at this time for a user. We may introduce that in the future to even customize per user, but at this time it has to go per location. If you do have a, if you, Jennifer, if you have a more specific reason as to why you guys would do those types of changes per user, it would be awesome if you can write that out, whether it's writing it out now in this Q&A section or whether it's giving us that feedback via email or chat. That'd be great, so we can just understand that the reasoning behind it, to see if we can introduce something like that or see if other companies will be interested in that as well.
Perfect. Yeah, also just for reference, any questions that you ask, I will be typing out the answer to as well, so you don't have to sit and think about what she said, what she didn't, no guesswork. So the next question is from Paul. He says, if we are starting accrual in 2024, should we also wait until January or only for changing? And also, is it safer to start with a new leave type instead of converting a current one?
Ooh,
Great question.
yeah, but great question, Paul. As for starting accrual in 2024, wait until January. Yes, please. If you change the setting right now, it will affect 2023. So for sure, please wait until January. As for new leave type, you don't have to do that. I mean, uh, when it comes down to some of these changes in vacation tracker, definitely always check with us when you're making big setting changes. Always feel free to just message support really quickly and say, hey, we're doing this. Are we good to go? Especially when they're very big setting changes such as accruals or brought forward, anything that you feel is going to affect calculation. It's always good to just double check with us how it's going to work. Um, you don't have to start with a new one. There's no reason. Because when you make the change for the accruals in 2024, it's only going to be affecting 2024. And it's good to not maybe switch to a new leaf type, because then all the history will stay and tie into that one leaf type. So our suggestion would most definitely be to stay with the same one. Just make sure to change it when the new year starts, whenever that is. For you guys, maybe you guys are on holidays until the 3rd, 4th, but you can make those changes then.
Perfect. Next question is from Laura. She says, will you be able to do half hours like 12:30 p.m.?
Like
Again,
this
kind of
question.
taken out of context, but
No. I mean, here's the thing. Generally, at this point, it doesn't even matter what it's specifically referring to. Definitely, Laura, you can give us a little bit of a context of which feature we're talking about here. But when it comes down to half an hour in general or minutes, this is just not something we're going into yet. I'm laughing because I feel like it's always at these office hours. It's always brought up at least once.
It's a common
And
question for sure. Yeah.
and we're definitely contemplating it. So it's not that we're not. It's just it's a much more complex thing. If we start allowing half an hour, we got to start allowing less than half an hour. And we say that from experience because we allowed half day, and then after we allowed half day, then it was can we do hours, and then we allowed hours, and now it's half hours. So there's a pattern that happens here. That being said, whatever this is related to, when it comes down to half an hours and minutes specifically, this is a more of a difficult option that we are looking into. We're going to be looking into it in 2024 to see if it's a possibility, but we're trying to still uh, play that safe line between staying a leave tracking system versus going into time tracking as well.
Perfect. And then Adriana says, like having a waiting period. So I'm not, I think
Considering
she
the fact that Jenna is talking about this at around, all right, so
28. I'm assuming it's I'm assuming it's the automation from my
I think
understanding.
it's also related to the automation. Jenna,
Yeah.
if you're still here, please let us know what you're referring to. More than happy to cover it. I think you're possibly referring to one of the automations, but oh my God, we went through so many that
Sure. She's
at
still
this
here.
point.
So yeah.
Okay,
And Laura
thank you.
confirmed, by the way, thank you for your answer, Laura. She says in terms of like when I need to take sick time by the hour. So like from 12:30 to 2:30 p.m.
I understand. Yeah. So I mean, that actually as an option may even be something that we can do sooner than the option of saying take half an hour. The actual time framing of saying, hey, I'm taking from 12:15 to 1:15 may be easier, and it's actually a different piece of the future, but it's also still connected to that idea of us talking about, are we going to be allowing half an hour, are we going to be allowing 15-minute increments and so on. So um definitely in the talks, but um, something that we're yet to kind of figure out how we're going to introduce and where we're going to put a break on that. Should we move on to the next question, or did Adriana
Yes.
let us know which
Yes.
feature? Okay, okay, we'll
Yeah.
wait for Adriana. Please.
So yeah, Stephen says he would like to test out the leave restrictions for certain dates. So that's
For sure.
amazing.
For sure, for sure. So Stephen, feel free to send a message over to our support via chat or via email, and just let them know which one you would like to test. They will open up a ticket for you and open up this feature for you. You'll be able to test it. Please keep in mind it will be free for the next couple of weeks, and then we will start charging for these features. We will of course let you know that we're going to begin charging, and we'll let you know the pricing. Although I can tell you right now that every single add-on will be 50 cents per user per month for the add-on itself. And almost all of the add-ons can be added to both plans. The only one that cannot be is the role-based entitlement because it's using labels, which is only specific for complete plan. So just keep that in mind.
Perfect. Next question is from, I'm sorry if I butchered this name, but it's from Sylvia. And she says, if we have an employee working part-time, but across all working days, how can we set half days?
At this time in Vacation Tracker, all of our days are looking at this is we're looking at all days as 8-hour days. So you cannot set hours per working day. It's definitely something we're looking into, though, even possibly for 2024 to start allowing not only customization of the working days, which we already allow. We have part time that you can do through our working weeks by customizing each user's working week and saying, hey, for example, maybe because she's working Monday, Wednesday, Friday instead of the full week of Monday to Friday. So this is something that we currently offer in that sense, but we don't do it for the hours themselves. So at this time, unfortunately, you can't really do much about the part-timers that are not working the full 8-hour shift, but it's definitely something we're talking about, definitely something we want to introduce as an improvement. If you could let us know in more detail via email, just giving us more information about how it fully works. Is it that all part-timers have a shift of 4 hours and that's just all across the board? Is it for the full week? Is it a part of the week? Definitely let us know via email. Give us more details so that we can see how we can make, again, if we introduce this feature, how to make it more according to the needs. So definitely let us know by email those details, and we'll of course give that information over to our development team and to our product manager.
Perfect. Next question is from Rick. He says, are there any recommendations to work around the limitation of hourly time requests only being available for whole hours? We have a lot of hourly employees, and it seems we're stuck having them request a half an hour less each time they make a time off request. This puts us in a position of giving employees a full hour off each time, even though they're only requesting time off to take 30 minutes. Over time, this adds up, and we'd end up giving them more PTO than each employee is supposed to take.
I understand. So this is again referring to what I said about the timing.
Yeah.
Although I understand that this can now become more of an issue. So Rick, thank you so much for the details because that again that really helps us understand the position. And I actually believe our product manager is in this call as well, so she's definitely hearing this information
She's
firsthand, which is
taking notes
great.
as we speak.
But that being said, again, I think I already mentioned this and I already covered it. The problem there really becomes this kind of where are we putting the limit on the time frame and where do we stop, stop being a leave tracking. We become a time tracking system, which we don't want to go into. So this is already helpful enough for us to add into the notes about how we may be able to introduce this or why we may need to introduce this into 30 minutes. Although I know that some companies may now say, well, also this is the same case for 15 minutes, if they're taking 15-minute leaves. So this is a little bit more difficult, but we're definitely going to get these details over to the team to review, and to keep that in mind for that piece because it does make sense what you're saying. We get it. At this time, like I said, we're kind of fighting that line. The less time we offer, the less time people want. So it becomes a little bit more difficult.
At what stage do we become a time tracking system?
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out. Next question is from Jennifer. She says, how much does the blackout add-on cost? I believe you
Yeah.
already covered
Yes,
this.
I did. So 50 cents per user per month. For the add-ons, they can be added to any of the plans.
Per month. Perfect. And next question is from Erin. She says, can you go back and edit previous year's vacations?
You can for sure. If you're referring to the quota for the previous years, you can. If we're referring to the brought forward settings, you cannot. I'm gonna clarify that piece if depending on which one we're talking about here. If you're referring to just editing the quota for the users in the past, of course, you could have always done that within Vacation Tracker by just selecting the time period, going back into the past and then editing the quota and then just making sure not to, of course, affect the future years. So you're just setting the quota just for this period. Now, I apologize. This demo account is currently showing hours, but I mean, that being said, even if I change that and let's say to the 180 and I'm making that change, I'm still not going to be affecting the following years. I'm only affecting that year. So if you're making that change for the quota, yes, you can. If you're talking about the brought forward for the previous years, you can't. And the reason why is because this is an automated field. So we're automatically calculating how much the user had for the year prior. If we started allowing a change in this field, in the brought forward field as well, um, it wouldn't match up what the previous year remaining quota is. We'd have to have some sort of section of notes that admins can even put what happened to that quota and why they edited it and so on and so forth. It really complicates the system quite a bit. If you're looking to change the brought forward for the year prior, you can always go into the year prior to that one and edit the quota in order to affect the remaining, in order to affect the future brought forward. So if we're talking about the brought forward. Okay.
Hopefully that's good. Erin, let us know if you have any other questions. Moving on to Shar, is asking for any update on leaves for 30-minute intervals or 1 hour.
That's like I get it. I get it. But again, quite a bit of a problem. The less time we offer, the less time everyone wants. So again, luckily our development team will definitely hear about this quite a bit. We've already talked about it because every time we do these office hours, like I said, it comes up at least once during the Q&A section, if not more. So again, we're going to talk about it. We just have to figure out how to do it in the best way that's working for everyone, and that of course it keeps our system at leave tracking.
Perfect. Moving on to the next question by Dallas. He says, "What is the best practice for having calendar year rollover? For example, 40 hours on the 1st of January, and then also taking into account employee dates for increased accruals. So, for example, 1 to 3 years is 15 days per year, 3+ years is 20 days per year. We are new customers and have the accruals set up by locations, but understand that we would have to move users manually from the first location to the other in order to change the accrual."
I understand what happened here. Styles, you guys are probably were using a workaround where you have multiple locations representing the different number of days as quota. As much as we used to kind of say this workaround is okay, now that we have the features to make this work automatically, we don't suggest using this workaround anymore. First of all, I think it's also a little bit more extra work for you guys. To be honest, there's a couple of things here that you can do. Considering the fact that you guys are, from my understanding, from what I'm reading, you guys are increasing the pay depending on how long they've worked in the company. That's the seniority-based entitlement feature. And since it's free for now, it's in testing, feel free to send a message over to our chat or email and let them know that you want to test it out. You're then able to set up these rules, like you said. So you're saying that they have 15 days for the 1 to 3 years, which means that everyone's starting with 15 days that you would put as the quota in the actual accrual section. So that would be in this piece, Khushi, you don't have to write out in detail. I'm going to be just showing up the settings. So that will actually be in the accrual section itself, where you would be putting in the quota and you would be saying, okay, well, they start off with 15 days. This is our basic accrual. And then for the third year, or 3+ years, let's say, you were saying they have 20 days per year. So what you would do is you would go into our automation for seniority based entitlement and you would say, okay, on the year after 3 years, give them an additional 5 days. And when you do that, the system will watch their employee start date. You can actually turn on the prorating option as well, so that you're saying, okay, you have to prorate that amount depending on their employee start date versus the starting year, and give them an additional 5 days. So the seniority-based entitlement feature seems to be you guys' best fit rather than using this workaround. The workaround was fine while we didn't have this feature. It's something that that a lot of companies did. We understood it, but it does get to complicate your own internal system more so. It's giving you guys more work than necessary. This feature does it automatically for you, and it makes things a lot easier. If you have employees already, it's going to ask you also when you want to start applying this entitlement from. That's also really important because it's saying, do you want to start applying this from now on from anyone who's going to have their anniversary date from now on? You can start this, for example, from 2024, like some of our clients are starting. So this is also an option. So definitely this is what I would recommend in that case.
Perfect. Hopefully that helps. Dallas, let us know if you have any other questions. Next question is from Carl. He says, "When will the imports feature be available?"
Sorry, people, I have to drink a little bit of tea.
I was going to ask her at the beginning. I'm like, "Kat, where's your tea?"
It's
Good
here.
to know you have it.
That doesn't change. So the imports feature, we hope to have it live in the next week or two. That's our goal. Um, as you may know, I cannot guarantee a date because that's what happens in SaaS. You can never guarantee a date, but we hope in the next week or two. It's in testing. It's basically completed. We're just fixing up a couple of things. We're testing it out internally. We're changing up a couple of things. So we hope it's going to be live in the next week or two. If you'd
Perfect.
like,
Next
yeah, if
question.
you'd like to be the first person to use it, definitely let us know. We can we can have it released to you maybe a little bit earlier while we're still testing, but I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to do that, but possibly.
Skip. Next question from Dana. She says, "I have a group of commissioned employees that will go into unlimited earning time in 2024 and then salaried that will stay on accrual. How will I change my commissions employees to unlimited?"
So that's fine. So you can actually change. To be honest, I wouldn't tell you to put them in different locations, although that is one way that you could do it. You could create different locations for the two different groupings. Our locations don't always have to be used as location. They can be used for the different grouping as well if you're already all under one location, under one set of holidays. But to be honest, because you can do the setting per user, I would actually maybe even advise that. I would let you know to just go in 2024, of course, when it happens, to go in and then just turn on unlimited leaves for every single of your commissioned employees. And that'll be that for those employees. I would even suggest, if you have, since you have the, I'm assuming since you guys are doing the accrual, you have the complete plan, maybe even using our labels to tag the commissioned employees versus the salaried. If you have that, if you like that option, you can also do that. You can just create a label and kind of clarify it that way as well. Maybe it'll help too if you're pulling out different reports or filtering out the users. So that would be my advice.
Hopefully that's helpful, Dana. Moving on, we have Lindsay. She says, can we turn off the expiry of leave requests?
Not at this time. Not at this time. The reason why we introduce it is because some employees will send out the request. We actually introduced the reminders for that reason, so that the approvers make sure to remember to reply to those requests. So at this time, you cannot. But if you have some sort of internal reason why you guys need them to stop expiring, if there's some sort of policy that you guys have, definitely let us know, either again via email or via chat or even in this Q&A. Let us know and we'll keep that in mind.
Moving on to Paul, he says, if we have a carryover cap on a type of leave, is there a report where we can see what leave was lost, or is the minus documented for in the record?
If we have a carryover cap on top of oh, I understand. Like, for example, what they didn't get carried over because of your I understand. Okay. Um, we don't have that as a report this time. That's an interesting thing to note. We have, to be honest, I don't think we've ever been requested that. I understand what you're referring to, kind of the lost days. We don't have that at this time, but it's actually a really good point. And that's actually something that will definitely kind of keep as a feedback for any reporting type of pages we may make in the future, because I can see how that can be useful. You guys could be pulling out how many days, the users are losing because they're not using up all those days, and you guys have a limit. So really, really good feedback. Not possible at this time, but definitely something we should look into. Thank you so much, Paul.
Moving on, Jennifer, she just says that she seconds the need for half an hour. And she says that it's not for timekeeping purposes. There's many times where someone is out from half an hour to another half an hour, and being confined to the top of the clock reflects incorrect times out of the office. So they would certainly appreciate that over there at her company as well.
Okay, I see that because of yeah, I see the comment before with Laura talking about that 12:30 as well. Thank you. I mean, it does make sense for sure. Like I said, I think the only issue there that we've been having is that if we allow 30 minutes, we've actually had companies that request 15 as well. It's not just 30. And then that becomes difficult, also becomes difficult for our calculations. It seems like a small feature, but it affects quite a bit of our system. And so it's significantly more complex and much more complex for us to make. Although I do appreciate that you guys are all here telling us this all in this call with the details, because I think that'll help us also see in which direction we may go into. Are we going to make the kind of, stop at 30 minutes or 15 minutes? But that's also a thing. At one point we said, okay, we're going to stop at 1 hour, and then the 30-minute thing came in, and then the 15 minutes. So again, like I said, it affects a lot of the system. And additionally, it's very, very difficult to create. It's on our discussion point. We're discussing it at least once every couple of months, because it does keep coming up, and we're trying to figure out how to introduce it. So we're going to talk about it internally. We'll definitely let you guys know. For anyone that is requesting all of this, we're going to tag you guys' accounts anyways after this call, um, just to make sure that we can reach out to you as well if we need more information about how it works inside of your company.
Perfect. Moving on, Laura says thank you. You're welcome, Laura. I'm assuming that's in response to an answer. Moving on to Freddie, he says, seems like the rate is going up to $3 per user for complete. Is $2 grandfathered in? I'm on the monthly plan now, and when I look at the annual plan, it calculates out to more than 12 times our monthly cost. Seems like switching to annual is perhaps calculating off $3 per user. Is this correct?
All right, so thanks, Ray, for this question. A couple of things. First of all, yes, the complete rate did move to $3 per user. We made this change actually a couple of months ago, and that is the new rate for the complete plan. It's going to be including quite a bit more features, including the time off in lieu. I think multi-level approval is also going to be a feature in the complete plan, and a couple of other ones as well. They're not going to be add-ons; they're going to be part of the complete plan. So the plan's going to be um, uh, quite intense.
Mhm.
And covering quite a bit of things. Hence, of course, also the increase in the rate. That being said, anyone who has the $2 for the time being, those companies are still kept at the $2. If you're switching to annual right now, you should not be getting charged the new price. What could possibly be happening is the bucket pricing may be off, and we're definitely going to look into that. Freddie, if you're interested, so no matter what, it should not be more than monthly cost. You should be getting a discounted price, at least up to about 15% discount if you switch over to annual. So, and of course, that'll also be good for all of you who are on the $2 plan, because you will be locked in for a much longer time period for your $2 plan. So because it will not be grandfathered like our very old first plan that we ever introduced to Vacation Tracker. There was only a few companies, of course, that at the time had it, but that was the only plan we ever grandfathered. This one will not be grandfathered. We're just not sure when that change would happen. It's not anything we're doing anytime soon. But if you're looking to lock in that price for the $2, definitely reach out to us via chat or via email. Let us know that you want to go to annual. Let us know the issue that you're having with the calculation. And we're going to make sure, first of all, that that's fixed. And second of all, of course, to give you the correct price with the discount so that you can lock it in if you'd like to move to the annual plan.
Perfect. Hopefully that answers Freddie's question. Moving on to Laura again. Can the 12-hour, 24-hour preference be set as a default to all users, or does it have to be
For the
for
time
the
being,
time?
it's going to be per user only. We're not going to be doing it as a default to all users because of what I mentioned earlier regarding companies that have different locations. So at this time, we're going to be setting it up as per user. If we see more of a request coming in to ask to turn on that setting all across the board, we'll definitely take it into consideration as a kind of an improvement. But for now, it's per user, just like the language setting and just like the dark mode versus light mode.
Perfect. Moving on, Dallas. He says, I know that our company would not want 30-minute requests, so making that an option to enable versus disable should be considered if the development path has started.
Understood. And that's also, we have the settings for half day versus a couple of, we're taking a couple of hours off as well. So definitely if we introduce something like that, but thank you, Dallas, for that feedback, because this is exactly the point of Vacation Tracker. So many companies, so many different rules, so many needs. This is why we're so careful when creating features to make them customizable. Definitely something we'll keep in mind. We did the same thing when we introduced hours versus the half day option.
Perfect. Moving on to Lindsay. Our regular hours are set as Monday to Friday. Vacation, sick time, etc. are within these hours. We are open and staff our office on Saturdays on a rotation because we don't want it to count as a day off. We haven't set it like that in our hours in Vacation Tracker. We would like to have Saturdays available for requests so that an employee can say that they are not available on a specific Saturday, but not to be counted as a regular workday. Is there a way to do that?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Sorry, Lindsay, because I'm kind of, while reading, I'm trying to first of all understand you guys' policy and rule. And here's the thing. I think that it's going to take me a little bit longer to answer this. I want to make sure we're kind of answering all the other ones too. Lindsay, can you please do me a favor? Can you email us at hello at and just let them know that Kat asked to email this question. Send this whole question to us that you just sent us here, and I'm gonna see to give you kind of a more detailed response, and to also ask you a couple of, because I already have a couple of follow-up questions that I want to ask just to confirm that I understand it well. I think I do, but again, it's especially the whole way to make it work. I don't know if we have it available, but I want to see if we do have some sort of workaround that we can offer. So please send us this message via hello ad and expect an answer from me in the next couple of days. We're at our busiest season right now. We're incredibly busy. We're already getting filled up with calls and for both setups and of course for demos, as well as a lot of requests coming in. It's end of year, beginning of years. This is really our busiest time of year. So if there's a slight delay, I do apologize. But I'll try my best to respond, especially specifically this, because I can't respond to it right now, at least in the next day or two.
Perfect. So, Lindsay, yeah, you know what to do. Please send us an email. You can copy paste the same thing. Not a problem. Moving on to Shar. Shar says, thanks for the info on the 30 minutes, 1 hour feature. Are there any organizations who allow for time off less than 15 minutes? Just a thought. I
Yes,
don't,
there.
I
There,
don't think
there,
so.
here's the thing. I mean, we hope that there aren't, but we didn't also think that there would be any who also will request 15 minutes as a leave. So whenever we make an assumption, something comes up to let us know that we're wrong. So to be honest, at this point, I can expect anything. We've been here for long enough. We've been in the industry for long enough. At this point, we know to expect anything.
Unexpected. Moving on to Dallas. Dallas says, glad I asked. I will check in with support about the automation for seniority. We're starting code as roll rollover on the 1st of January 2024. Perfect. I think Paul has a follow-up question to his minus. It says, but the minus will show up on their record.
You're gonna be able to see the difference on their profile page, and you'll be gonna be, if we're referring to the fact of the amount of days that they wouldn't have transferred, you'll be able to see that. For example, if you're putting a limit of 5 days, and you look at the user's previous year, and their remaining quota says 7, it's more of you just doing the work of calculating, okay, well then they lost 2 days. So yes, you can definitely see it on their profile page, but you can't see it as a separate calculation for specifically lost days. Let's put it that way.
Moving on, another question, more like a comment from Lindsay. She says it's about the expiry of leave requests. We are a small company. This is new to us. We have usually had a deadline for seniority requests and have seen requests made and expired prior to the seniority deadline, especially this time of the year when the planners get requests in really early and their deadline is the 15th of January. So,
Okay, that makes sense. That makes
yeah.
sense. We'll get that feedback over to the team to see if we can do something about that. Maybe a setting will make sense because a lot of companies like
Yes.
what we did with the reminders. And then they have the other problem where they don't have the approvers responding on time, so they need those things to of course expire and have that setting. But this also makes sense. So thank you for the details. That'll be helpful.
Perfect. Moving on to Adriana. She says, under general settings, I set the leave quotas in days for my team, but the quota is showing in hours. I'm not sure why.
So Adriana, make sure that try a refresh or try a log out, log in. It could just be a cache issue. If you're still seeing if you're still seeing for whatever reason the hours, just send us a screenshots via chat and just report it and we'll take a look at it. Right now it's not doing I was looking at the different demo accounts today and I was changing actually coincidentally these settings because I was playing around with the accounts. It wasn't doing that for me. I was able to normally change it. So if this is happening, definitely let us know via chat. Send us the screenshots of both the general setting and what you're seeing and we'll take a look and see what's happening. Maybe there's some sort of small issue there, but we can fix it.
Next comment from
Ready?
Freddie says
I see
the
that.
annual. What?
Yeah, I see
Yeah.
the annual price. Yeah. So Freddie, definitely email us. Let us know. Let us know. It's not supposed to be the complete the $3, the new pricing if you're switching over to annual. So definitely let us know via email or via chat. We'll give you the correct price and we'll take a look on our end to see why it's showing that to anyone who already has the $2 plan.
Perfect. Moving on to Jennifer. Her question is, could we please ask that the reports come through in the 12-hour format also?
Okay. Okay, we can definitely send that out as a request. That makes sense. I get it. Yeah, to affect that as well. We'll definitely send that out as a request. We recently had a request for notifications to also be affected by that setting. So we'll definitely take a look at possibly introducing that. Does that make sense?
Perfect. And moving on, another thank you from Lindsay. You're welcome. And Laura has a comment, follow up to the 12-hour/24-hour comment. It would be great if it could be said by location. We have an office in the States that is 12 hours and an office in the Netherlands that's 24 hours. So this would be great. Thank you, ladies, for this meeting. Signing off. Good day and happy holidays. You too, Laura. Assuming you're still
Thank
here.
you, Laura. Well, even if
Um,
not, she'll maybe
yeah,
watch the
she'll see
recording.
this
So thank you.
eventually. Yeah. Another comment from Jennifer. It's not that we are requesting 30 minutes or 14 minutes off. It's that we are needing that time on the clock, if that makes
It
sense.
does. She's referring to the actual requesting rather than them needing to do 30 minutes, actually them being able to put in the
Yeah.
time themselves. I get it. And that's why I said it's two different features, but they're still going to kind of be tied together because we have to see if we're going to be introducing them, if that's going to somehow be affecting the system, if we're allowing the different times. So it's still a more complex feature, but I get it. And we definitely, again, like I said, we have it in the discussion points. We're going to be talking more and more about it for sure. And I think actually that's it for the questions.
Yeah,
We went quite a bit, but it's so many
over time.
of you
Yeah.
joined. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate the fact that, again, so many companies want to actually join these calls and have these calls with us. And it means a lot to us, especially end of year. And you guys took the time to join. So thank you so much. You guys have happy holidays to everyone. And we hope you have a great new year. We're gonna leave the call open for just a couple of minutes. If anyone has any last moment comments they'd like to put in. Thank you for the emojis. And also for the polls, if you want to answer any of the questions, feel free to do that. Otherwise, again, you can always reach out to us via chat or via email. We'll be happy to help out. For anyone who we said to reach out to us, feel free to do so. We'll be looking into those emails. Again, like I said, the only thing keep in mind, our response may be a little bit delayed in the next few weeks. Please bear with us. This is the busiest season, so we're quite busy over here.
Elves are hard at work, but yeah, we see the comments as well. Thank you so much, Shar, Jennifer, Adriana, Paul. Means the world. And yeah, Kat and Khushi are officially